Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. It is day 2 of National Signing Day for us Michigan fans. And hey, we wake up to some massive news on a Thursday morning. 5-star running back Savion Hiter making it official, signing with Michigan. Now, take us back to Wednesday afternoon. Still no news about Savion signing with Michigan. Yeah, us Michigan fans did not really have anything to worry about. Like there was no buzz about him flipping or playing somewhere else in 2026. He's just one of those talents that you don't really breathe easy until that ink is dry. I look at Savion and say, I think this kid is going to be worth every penny for a couple of different reasons. Number one, really good football player. Now, I don't think I'm breaking any news to a lot of Michigan fans that follow this stuff closely. Number two is like this kid's coming in and playing a role immediately. You know, when it comes to spending a lot of money for some of these kids at the high school ranks, I want to make sure I'm going to see a return on my investment early. And I look at Savion and say, it, it kind of puts your mind at ease in terms of the decision that Justice Hands is going to make. If Justice Hands is back on Michigan in 2026, I don't think there's any Michigan fans that are going to complain. But if it has to be Jordan Marshall and Savion and Bryson Cusdahl, I feel pretty damn good about that running back room as well, especially with the offensive line that Michigan's going to have. This was one of the best rushing attacks that we saw in the country in 2025. I think it gets better in 2026 because I think this offensive line gets better, and I think this running back room has a chance to get better as well if Savion and Jordan Marshall stay healthy. It fits what Michigan wants to do. Difference maker at the running back position. A lot of Michigan fans breathing easy. That's not the biggest news that we have to talk about on Thursday morning. We got a surprise flip that Michigan is looking to make happen. We should figure out how this is going to go over the next couple of hours. I want to preview that, talk about some other storylines that are developing before we get into it. As always, the Michigan fans, man, appreciate you guys. Like many of y'all know, I'm a Michigan fan that really does love this kind of stuff, talking roster composition, talking the recruiting trail. The amount of Michigan fans who've been rocking with the boys the last couple of months, it has been amazing. Can't thank you guys enough. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We will continue to update this conversation over the next couple of maybe hours, but certainly days. Without further ado, let's get into the surprise potential flip commitment. Now, familiar name, to the Michigan fans who are rocking with the boys way back in the summer months, this was a name that Michigan pushed very, very hard for during the summer months. He ends up sticking with Georgia. Come signing day, the morning as this kid is supposed to sign his papers to Georgia, Michigan's making once again another move. Now, here's the thing that intrigues me about Brady Marchese from Georgia is that the ranking services are all over the board on this kid. You look at 24/7 Sports, they have him as a 3-star wide receiver, the 73rd player in the state, the 99th wide receiver in the country. Then you go look at Rivals. Then you go look at ESPN. ESPN has this kid as a top 60 player in the country, the number 8 wide receiver in the country. I am guessing that's how Michigan views him too. Or else I don't think Michigan would be pushing as hard as they are as we wake up Thursday morning. There's a lot to like about this kid. And I think it starts with just the size and speed, man. I mean, 6'1", pushing 190 pounds. You can just go Google a picture of this kid. I mean, he is put together. He looks like a kid that physically is ready for college football. Strong track and field background. Certainly backs that up on the football field. I think the thing I love most about Brady is what he can do after the catch, because I think there's a lot of us Michigan fans, when you start looking at, hey, what are some skill sets that we felt like we lacked in 2025? I think my biggest one is yards after the catch. Like what wide receiver on this Michigan roster makes you hold your breath when they have the football in space? I think outside of Andrew Marsh, who, by the way, I did not think Andrew Marsh was going to be a super dynamic yards after the catch guy coming out of high school. certainly turning into that kind of guy. Andrew Marsh is just outplaying his rank, and he's going to be one of the better wide receivers in the country over the next couple of years. I think a lot of us Michigan fans wanted it to be Samaj Morgan. You know, that guy that, hey, you can just get the football to, let him do the rest. The problem with Samaj Morgan is he couldn't really catch the football. So it became very, very hard to keep him on the football field, and it became very hard to get him the football in space. This kid, really natural pass catcher that has the vertical speed to challenge defensive backs vertically down the field. But also, when he gets the football in his hands, one, he's a big and strong kid that can outrun almost anybody on the football field. That playmaking ability, that speed, that feeling where, hey, when a Michigan player has the football in space, you think good things are going to happen. We need more of that because outside of Andrew Marsh and a little bit of Donovan McCulley, it's like you didn't really have that. You never were holding your breath when Michigan had the football in space, like you do for some of these other teams in the country. That's to me why I think Brady Marchese is so intriguing, and I think that's the why Michigan's really going after this kid. And again, the thing with Brady is I think he could probably, best way to put it, have an opportunity to contribute to Michigan in 2026, which is clearly something Michigan's looking for. If we're going to grab some wide receivers, we want these guys to provide value early because we need them to provide value early. Even if we flip Brady, I still think Michigan needs to go to the portal and get a bona fide guy that has shown he can do it at the college landscape. Brady makes a lot of sense. Another interesting development here is Zion Robinson. Like, sounds like Michigan's going to push to keep him because you look at Michigan's class right now and say, with Savion Hiter signing, there's only two guys. As as stressful as it was yesterday for us Michigan fans because Savion hadn't signed, Virginia Tech was pushing for Travis Johnson. Zion Robinson buzz was a little bit concerning too. You waking up Thursday morning and not you feel good about where Michigan sits closing out this 2026 class. Now, Zion Robinson's the interesting one because it sounds like Stanford's making the most aggressive push. It sounds like Michigan's prepared to go make a push to keep this kid. We know Michigan likes him. Michigan's been on this kid for damn near a year and a half. 6'3", 180 pounds, track and field background, sub 11 seconds in the 100-meter dash. Now, I personally don't think Zion Robinson is as ready early as some of the other wide receivers we have coming in. We don't have a ton of size and speed. Guys that look like Zion Robinson that can run like Zion Robinson. We don't have a ton of verticality in this offense. Where's the speed on the football field for Michigan that defensive backs need to respect? Not sure if we have that. Like Zion Robinson would certainly bring that to you in terms of the verticality. He's a one-trick pony right now. There's not a ton more to his game besides being really big, long, and fast. That skill is still a skill set that Michigan needs on their offense. And it sounds like Michigan's prepared to do what they need to do to try to keep him in the class. Last one, Julian Walker, right? We'll see. This one, we landed his commitment on July 1st. We knew this was going to be a battle. Specifically, we thought it was going to be a battle between Michigan and South Carolina. Dad works for South Carolina, obviously from that area. It sounds like North Carolina's making a really big NIL play as well. Y'all know how I feel about Julian Walker. This is a guy that to me is worth trying to keep, right? What it comes down to is all the tools you need to be a NFL caliber defensive lineman. Whether he's going to play on the edge, whether he's going to put on weight and play on the inside. It's really hard to find players like Julian Walker that look like Julian Walker that have the potential like Julian Walker has in the transfer portal. You go back to that Ohio State game. What really cost Michigan on defense? Just it felt like we did not have enough dudes. And our best players, guys like Jay Sean and Derek Moore, did not really have an impact. You want to consistently beat a team like Ohio State, go back and look at what the blueprint was. Having guys like Mason Graham, having guys like Kenneth Grant, right? You need those guys that can dominate games up front. I think Julian Walker has the capability of becoming that football player. I would want to keep him in the class. Now, the last negative update I have, it's official. We got to take him off the board. Avon Finney signs with LSU. Loved him. Was my favorite cornerback that Michigan was going after. And maybe this is just the Michigan fan coping here, but it's no disrespect to Von Finney because I think Von Finney is going to be a stud, right? Absolute stud. I think Michigan will be okay at the cornerback position. You got a lot of young, talented cornerbacks that you already have. You brought in Jamari and Vincent. You flipped him late in the process. It's a position that I feel like Michigan's in a decent spot with going into 2026. Love Von Finney. Would have loved him in the maize and blue. Think we'll be okay. Hey, finish this with one of these wide receivers we just talked about. Lock in Julian Walker. Get prepared to do what you need to do in the transfer portal, and we'll see. We're gonna say it all offseason long, man. 2026 is a big deal for Sharon Moore. You know, there's two avenues this could go. Number one is Sharon Moore showing he's the guy for the next 5 to 10 years, or Sharon Moore being on the hot seat, potentially losing his job. You know, if Michigan does not show that they're a program that's getting better, does not make a run to the college football playoffs, I could see that conversation starting to bubble up because that's 3 straight years of not going to the playoffs after you just won a national championship in 2023. Good, some good things happening for Michigan on the trail. We'll see how it closes. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.